August 11th Resiliency Committee meeting today. So, in take the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chairman Carl Roth.
Present.
Vice Chairman Chris Leeds. Let the record show that Vice Chairman Leeds is absent from today's meeting. Member Darrell Rose. Member Robert Hubbard.
Here.
Member Ron Padova. Let the record show that Member Padova is absent from today's meeting. And Member Devin Aaron. Are you here? Present. Devin.
Oh, here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thought we get going. We haven't had a meeting for a bit, but it is fine. Sorry. We haven't had a meeting for a bit, so what I thought I'd do is just quickly go around the horn, see if there are any topics that updates that any of the members have for anybody, and at least get started there.
And just a reminder, there's 2 sets of minutes on there that need to be approved as well.
Okay. So there are 2 sets of minutes from which dates?
March 10th and April 14th.
Okay. So on the March 10th minutes, can I have a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then the April
I'll make a
14th.
motion to approve April
14th. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes pass. Okay, so other perfunctories we need to do, Ashley?
No, your general comments.
Okay.
And then your comments.
Any comments from the public out there? No, they're engrossed on their laptops. Okay, we're good. So what I was going to do is go around the horn, given it's been a little bit. So if there are things on your minds that, or things you've come across in the last few weeks, months, want to bring to everybody's attention, why don't we start there? Bobby, you want to?
Well, there's a lot of things to discuss, but we were talking this morning about the Sunset Road flooding at high tide, and being that we're going to be getting set up for dredging, we have a lot of material be coming out of the river. We can set maybe a burn across there, across Sunset and down around the bayou and critical areas. The big problem is the boat ramps that Darrell had pointed out, and getting permission and what we can do with the owner's approval with those boat ramps where the water intrudes, and the marina too as well. Possibly extra coats of pavement. If you put maybe 6 more inches of pavement on those, that will curb a lot of the high tide flooding. We can also hopefully maybe then later put in some lift stations or stormwater lift stations to pump the water up for that 1 hour period of that extreme high tide. Because the salt water is tearing up residents' vehicles, police vehicles when they go down there, anybody that goes down there. I'd like to just eliminate that. I mean, there's a serious storm water, and nothing we can do about that. But the critical high tides, I think that's something that we can address in the near future as we start dredging, possibly. And we just need to contact those homeowners and see how they feel about what we can do with the boat ramps. They may be fine with whatever we do. They may don't touch them. So we just need to set a mandate or figure out what they want to do. That's one thing, anyway.
Do you know if American and Sunset, are those both wells or are they ramps or both at the American and Sunset Marina?
Sunset is a well, and
Okay.
so is American. They don't.
No ramp.
Not at the marina. No, there's
Okay.
one, I believe, residential
Around
ramp.
the corner.
I don't think that's critical as far as flooding, as far as that ramp goes. I'm not sure. It's not as low as the ones on Sunset.
Gotcha.
But yeah, but it's still, even though it's a well, it comes over that because it's so low.
Right.
But if they, like I said, they put extra layers of pavement on top of that, where they have the forklift, then the water would still be held without flooding there. And they get water in the building at full moon tides.
Okay,
Yeah, Tim's pretty sick of it. So,
thanks. Anything else?
no, I mean, docking, we can talk about docking for transient boaters maybe later if you want.
Okay.
But there's a lot to discuss. That's going to be coming up. So I'll just wait to see what they have to say about that then.
Okay, good deal.
Talked about possibly dissolving this committee to a capacity of City Hall, but you can still have a residential committee where you guys can meet at your time, at your will, at your place, and discuss issues, and you can still bring these things to the city and to the city manager. And talking to you about funding for some projects that you might be wanting to take care of. So, but that's it for right now.
Let's have that as a further discussion later, depending on where everybody wants to go. Because I kind of kept this agenda relatively open. It's will be a year cycle since we got established, so now seemed to be a good time to kind of do a pulse check on where we are, where we need to be, and where we need to go. So,
I was driving on Sunset.
Mike, there you go.
All right. I was driving on Sunset yesterday, and I was like, man, that is just some water on there. So I didn't bother going through it because why do I want to salt up my truck? You know what I mean? So there's your you're talking about your jacked up trucks. Are we all going to be on jacked up trucks? But it almost seems like it's really hard to re-engineer that whole thing because it's so old, and all the people live there. And on the other side of it's like owned by residents and stuff. It's a really tough thing to do, just logistically, with all the people and their property and where the property lines are and everything. But I think maybe like 6 inches of freaking pavement, man, right on top. I don't know if that's even feasible, but that seems like kind of because I didn't drive all the way down and through. I'm not sure how it looks down at the end before it curves as it goes towards. I'm not sure if that's all covered too. It's all covered. Is it a foot? Is it a? Yeah, but on average, you know what I mean. It's like yesterday was a pretty good tide. You know what I mean. So it was definitely coming over.
Dahlia doesn't normally flood down there, but the water will come in from the bayou and the properties through the back.
Right.
But it doesn't. The roads are fairly high back there.
Okay.
Sunset's probably about the lowest.
I just like the easier fixes and stuff. What do you think, Daryl?
So, across the street from Chasco, there's that boat ramp. That's how Chasco floods. In front of Lori's house, that floods because the seawall is the same. Actually, I think it's maybe lower than the road. So, that's why that floods. And when you get down by Pat Rogers' old house, there's those old boat ramps that nobody uses because everybody has docks. The water comes up there, and that's where that. So if you block in those boat ramps because nobody uses them, you can't even use them because they got potholes in them. They're not even liable. And where the rock and everything is, if you build a seawall just like it is across the street from Johnny Cash's house, right down the road from Chasco, that area doesn't flood either. It just has to be raised up a little bit. If you raise it to the level of the road, because that road level, I think, is 3 foot above sea level. If you raise that up to about 4 feet, as a king tide will still go over it, but you're not going to get them 2 foot tides and 3 foot tides going onto the road like they do now. So they just have to you have to block those in. Where the marina is, it's just that one that's on the left of the marina across from Chasco is when the tide goes up, that road floods every single day. So that's just my opinion.
If you live there,
it is. And you don't want to drive it because you're just ruining your car through the
ruining
salt.
your car. Oh God.
But that's why we had to put signs out. Hey, road may be underwater during high tide. We just put those in, I think,
There's
last
only
year.
about spots, I mean, you could raise it a foot, the others maybe 6 inches, I guess.
Yeah,
The
some
low
don't
line
even.
there is-
Some don't even get affected by it. Like
Right.
where that, it looks like a relatively new seawall within the last 10 years or whatever, because the concrete still looks somewhat new.
Right.
The water doesn't come over that seawall at all. And you can put drainage in to have it drain off and go back out when the tide goes back out. It'll take all the water off the road and take it back out to the Gulf, just like it does now. We have that flat between Johnny Cash's house and that one house where it goes back to those crates back there. And when the tide comes, when that area floods back there, the pressure will push the flap open on the low tide, water will go right back up. So,
What do you think the city's receptivity would be to?
Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Microphones.
What do you think the city's receptivity would be to? Let's try doing this here. It's like instead of paving the road, let's patch the road. All right. So what kind of? Maybe it costs us $50,000 to do, but if we went and got, and it's maybe a little bit of rough engineering as far as getting something done versus spending $500,000 to have a study done and get an engineering crew in and do all of this stuff and said, okay, I need to put a seawall along this run, but let's just say I take 100 feet of frontage and do something there to see if it works. I don't know what kind of
I like
feeling that is.
I think just the seawall alone, even if you want to, even to be on the more precautionary side where the seawall ends, maybe 2 feet off of it between the road and the grass, you put a storm box there with a piece of pipe going out, so that rainwater does have somewhere to drain, because that rainwater you're gonna have to have somewhere to drain anyways. So if you pitch the ground to where you put them boxes at, it'll take that rainwater in. Because that road does this, it goes up, it comes back down. The road does have low spots, so that's where you would have to put, like, if the water comes here, you put the box here, and you put the pipe through the brand new seawall, and then when the tide goes out, that water will drain and go out into the Gulf just like it would. That's a small temporary fix to at least alleviate, in my opinion, some of it, instead of spending millions and millions of dollars to raise the road. Then you got to raise the homeowners. Then you have to invert the crown, because you're not going to be able to have runoff on either side, because you're going to flood everybody. So you'd have to have an inverted crown with the storm running down the center with the sewer.
Well, I think where I'm coming from is if, let's say, Andy recommended something to council and said, hey guys, I think based on our initial assessment that we've done, we were out the last storm, we see this happening, and we think if we do this for $50K, it will help us out. We don't know, it's not going to be the panacea, but it's going to be, we think it's going to help us to a degree. Do you think council have intestinal fortitude for that activity? Because you could question their fiduciary obligations a little bit, and does that make sense? But if it's a reasonable number, do you think council would find that tenable?
It depends on how reasonable you mean.
So-
we have the intestinal fortitude. We may not have the financial fortitude.
Well, and that's where I'm going.
Yeah,
Is
right.
it's really the dollar part, so, and that I'm coming to.
But we
because-
we can ask for it.
It's more than just replacing the seawall, because now you're on private property. That's all private property.
Well, you're talking about just putting like some material on top of the really low spots.
I'm talking about having the city do things that we think will make things better until we can get a more substantive, holistic view of
But
things.
seawalls are like
So-
really expensive.
Well, yeah. I mean, so seawalls, we talked about paving, raising the road. Those are expensive. Drainage is expensive. But if there were small things that we thought, and I'm saying the collective we being the city, okay, thought that this might offer some relief. And then when we have the next event, we find out, dang, it didn't do what we hoped for it to do.
Well, you're not going to prevent every event.
No. You want to prevent
Instead
a
of every
normal
month,
tide.
maybe every
A
2
normal
years.
high tide is what you want to prevent. You're not going to
Right.
prevent the king tide. You're not going to
Correct.
prevent coastal flooding. You're not going to It's the 3-4 foot tides that you want to keep from.
And that's where I'm kind of going is to, can we give, or should we encourage council to give the city manager some more latitude for these, let's try this with some tolerance of what maybe $1 tolerance.
Well, I was asking the last meeting, when was Sunset due to be paved, because it's kind of ragged. And you could just run, like you have most of it's 3-inch layer of pavement, but in the low-lying areas, you could maybe put a 6-inch layer or an 8-inch layer of pavement over the low-lying areas, and that would alleviate some of the problems on some of the tides.
The only hesitation I would have, and it'd still be all really up to you guys and Andy, is we got to have the blue skies flooding solved before we would pave a road, because if you pave the road, the salt water is still going to eat it away. So you're going to be
The seeps in.
flooding a brand new.
Right.
Rainwater is different than the salt just tearing it up.
What about storm drain, lift stations?
The other thing I don't know is that apparently for some level of expenditures, we have some brakes on us unless we can show that it's able to withstand some level of resiliency. So is there a low threshold for that? So I can't build a fire station that's in a floodplain. I've got to put it in high enough. I can't expend that. Is there a threshold of that, or can I do these $25,000 or $50,000 things without that level of scrutiny from God knows where on high is? So, because that's just the question I have is how much latitude can we give Daryl to do things to say, hey, if you come up with, if I put this drainage box in here, I think that's going to help something, and it's going to be $15,000 to do that. Go to city council and say, okay, this is all part of resiliency. Think it's going to help some. Go ahead and green light $15,000.
I think the ramps, right? He's saying that the ramps are the kind of like, so maybe that is the thing to.
So what do you do with the ramps? I mean, I look based on, Ashley and I were talking about this, there appears to be about 20 ramps throughout the city.
Yeah.
So they all create some challenge in their areas, and they're scattered everywhere. They're not just in one area. So that's probably our initial where we're compromised as a city, where water's going to come in. Certainly there may be cracks and seawalls and all that stuff, but there are open areas wherever these ramps are. And they're north, they're south, they're east, and they're west. Not to mention the city's ramp at Mix. And us there at the park on Miller's Bayou, where we have a beach that's open. So are there things that we could do or should do where maybe the city shares cost with the owner to put a barrier in when there's a storm? And the city puts the barrier in to make sure it's done. I don't know. But there's about 20 because I went and.
Well, Sunset though, that's like kind of the main like.
I think Sunset is the one where the ramps are the only affected when it comes to just tide.
Okay.
Well, where it affects the road per se. That I've seen that I've had problems with is the ones just on Sunset Boulevard, and you could tell by looking at them. Other than the one across from Chasco, looks like they were done 60 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, the Chaska one
aren't even used
They
anymore.
were. They
Yeah.
were.
I don't know if Dave was around, but the Chaska one has created somewhat of a stink back in its day. So there's a little history on that one, whether it was legitimate or not.
And that can be eliminated by just putting a floodgate in on the bottom of it.
So that's a good low hanging fruit, right? I mean, that's something that
That's
it's
how
an actionable
Chatsco floods,
item.
and you go look at our storm boxes and our storm tops, and they get ate alive because of the salt water.
So would we want to make a recommendation to take a look at closing off that Chasco ramp to,
I don't even know who owns that.
well, I know who controls it.
Okay.
The ownership is a question because the individual that did some things to limit access. There was debate as far as ownership on that, but I don't know, so I'm not worried about it. But
Mayor got something.
Mr. Chair, if I can make a comment. I just came today from the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Commission meeting, and there was an individual on that committee that talked a little bit about some of the flood prevention stuff. What I thought was interesting that I wasn't aware of, I guess there's some, and this doesn't solve blue sky flooding, but from an event type standpoint, and I think the FDEM will give these to municipalities to protect critical infrastructures. Tiger dams, you looked into those at all? They're water-filled barriers that can be connected together, and they can go long, something like that. You could possibly get
Famous
free.
State is using around their building.
Yeah, so you probably get that free from FDEM, and we could actually deploy that along here to prevent water from coming in that way during a flooding event. As far as the ramps and stuff like that, if we could work with the owners to put in water fences or whatever that they could keep up, unless they're using it, put it down. Obviously, that would be something we look into. But I think from a prevention event type thing, we ought to look into see if we can get some of those tiger dams to help out with that. I would assume it would include roads, big infrastructure. So something to check into.
I can tell you they work in the Great Lakes. I saw.
And you fill them with water, which we got plenty of.
And that's what I think Famous State is using, because we supplied a hydrometer for them to fill up barriers for their building around their whole building.
It's that low, huh?
They flooded during Helene. They got like 8 or 9 inches of water. That's what I think they're using there.
And they have different heights. I think they 24 foot, 36 foot.
Yeah.
So
links.
lengths you can put them as long as you want. That's what's nice about these, that you just keep extending. So it worked perfect for while I'm there. So, and they make it free.
Even better.
We like free.
So, should we make a recommendation to the city to pursue that avenue, or do we have to do anything on that front other than just having our discussion? Are you executing some things with the city on that?
No, I just fresh off the press. So I didn't.
I think we should weigh out all options. Absolutely.
Yeah. But that's just something, because he mentioned water fences like that. I think if they used the hospital down in Tampa or whatever.
Tampa General was basically saved by a tiger dam last fall.
I don't think they have extra fence.
Thing, though, man.
Yeah, which is
that's different.
And they talked about there's very expensive options, but the tiger dams for municipalities, they'll give them to you.
Manatee County used a tiger dam.
Yes.
Manatee Memorial, I think, had.
That is a special thing.
You saw like
Did you see that?
And then what's nice about them is they are deployable and reusable. So it's not like
Right.
a one-time thing. You continue to use them. So it's like
Yeah.
cones, right?
Okay.
You just keep putting them
So
out.
depending on the protection you want determines, but I think those are certainly I've seen them work and they work well. So, and I've seen probably about 3/4 of a mile of them put together of about a 5-foot dam. And it protected the neighborhood during the season. So they work. Okay. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Daryl, any things on your mind as we,
We just been doing some stormwater work across the state. So I recommend seeing that. So,
Okay.
All the rain events we had, I mean, you got some water in the road, but those are low spots in the road. But other than that, all the water pretty much is drained in the swales for the most part until that tide comes.
okay. I have something for Daryl here, and I guess the city in total. We had our discussions in the springtime, talked about the city water supply and how to help protect it from seawater intrusion and such. And Tampa Bay Water reached out, Warren Hogg, H-O-G-G, who's their chief science officer. And he is interested in working with us to try to figure out some things that we could potentially do on our water wells to help protect against incursion. So he's got a staff of folks, and since our wells are probably closer to the coast than anybody,
Our
drinking
production
water
wells,
wells, production
yeah,
wells,
they're all on the east side of 19.
right, but closer to the Gulf than theirs.
Yeah,
So it's something that they probably are just inherently interested in anyway.
yeah.
But if we can be the guinea pigs on them coming up with something that helps protect our water supply and we don't have to buy it from others, it seems like a viable deal.
What do they do? What do they actually?
They control the water for the Tampa Bay region.
Yeah, but what do you do? Like we pump it out of the
Well,
ground. You know?
One of the things that I talked to him about was if we could do something with stormwater retention, upflow of the wells that would provide an additional freshwater barrier there, like a curtain, if you will. That might be something that helps protect our wells. He was intrigued with the concept. They would like to look at it potentially. So we have a contact to do something with them if we choose. So
Are our wells being engineered right now? The water plant? And that under
Water
engineering?
plant's currently being engineered right now.
Right. Well,
Right.
they would be best to get in touch with them.
well, it's certainly
I'll let
Your
McKim
decision.
McCree know. I'll let Phil and McKim McCree know. They may have already reached out to him and spoken to him
Right.
about it.
They
I'll
probably
let them
would.
know.
I'm sure they know
we have
about it. I
saltwater?
would think they would.
So the deeper you the deeper you go with the wells, the more salinity the water is. Our deepest well is only like 120 feet. So that's why you get more iron and stuff like that because we're shallow. So we have nothing right. If we were to drill the wells deeper, we have nothing that will take the salinity of the water.
Right.
That's what the RO is supposed to do.
and the RO will only work to a certain extent. So if we have more intrusion from when the plant was designed, we lose our capability.
Yeah, they right now it's going to be designed. The water's going to be 99.9% pure. So after everything's taken out,
I think we're super lucky to have that.
if everything goes through,
Yeah. Well, just the well fields in general.
Yeah.
Plus,
So I can give you that contact information, and then we can decide what we want to do on that. But they were interested, so if we're interested, it can something to move forward. Okay. With that, I guess what I wanted to do is kind of figure out where we wanted to go and how we wanted to go forward. We've had challenges with getting quorum for the last several months. And as this has evolved over time, certainly it was not clear where we were going to go exactly. So what I wanted to do is find out from the members and the audience on specific things that we think we should do or should consider if and how we move forward. So, I guess the fundamental question is the committee in of itself still a viable entity as far as moving forward? The recommendation that we have put forward has to do with Sunset. I am not aware of any traction that we've had on that to date on this from the standpoint of the city. So, because we had recommend going out to the Army Corps to do a more comprehensive view of the coding. And to my knowledge, that still is the case. That has not occurred. So we'll throw it out here to open the floor up. I will ask if there's any input from the audience or other members before council jumps in. And I'll open it up from there. Anybody? Thoughts?
So I'll make a comment. Obviously, when we put this together back a year ago, the idea is to have an active committee moving forward with doing some things that protect the coast, whether it be working on their barrier islands and whatever, shorelines, just the whole gamut of that, right? And so also you guys have looked at Sunset, and I think we need to do something on that. But I think this committee is important, whether it's Active Sunshine Committee or it's a ad hoc committee that doesn't fall under that. We still need to have some entity studying that, getting some science, and making recommendations to council so that we can make investments in the community. So I mean, I think it's a valuable asset, because if we don't have it, then it's something that council's going to have to do in and of themselves. And of course, we're tied with other things going on as well. So I think we need a committee focused on that. So I would, I don't want to see it disband. Now, if we restructure or something like that, I'm obviously open for thoughts, but I think we need some entity in the city focus on that. Maybe we roll that back to the Port Authority Board and maybe expand that group a little bit or something. Again, there's ways we can meet the need, but we need a group that's looking at that so we can get recommendations to council to make decisions. That'd be my 2 cents.
I think the big, this was like Matt's like baby, that he sort of was the spearhead to put this together. And, now he's gone, obviously. So he's, the traction really isn't there. But, part of getting, these bigger funding done through the, state or federal is to have, these committees in place and things like that, so that, when you're asking for big dollars, you have people that are interested, you have people that are, participating in the discussion and shepherding something. Because, if we go ask for money and things like that, well, show me something you've done, let's build on to something. Let's, get a study done or something and let them build onto that. But, that was really the whole idea. Not that this is all just a dog and pony show, but really that's what this was really for. And that's what Matt was trying to accomplish by putting this together. But he's gone. So, so we got to figure out whether we want to do this, fold it into the, to Port Authority. And then also, too, we got the issue with the Sunshine thing where, we're sort of, it's debatable, and what we can really talk about and whatnot. So, we haven't really accomplished much, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of been, we have a hard time even getting quorum. So it's like, what are we really doing? Which, we really need to figure out how to get more people sort of involved that are actually going to show up, so.
Well, that's the issue. And the fact that you see something great, well, this may be very helpful. Let me call Carl and talk to him. Well, I can't call Carl and talk to him about it because we're at this capacity bit. When you're outside, you can do that. And then we can also you can bring it to city manager anytime you want. You got ideas, you guys get together, we get together, and we find this Simple Engineering has this program right now. It would help us great over here. Let's see if Andy can get in touch with them and get some estimates or whatever we come up with.
Right.
But you're just strapped sitting here. You're time constraint. Ashley trying to get a quorum constantly, and it's difficult sometimes. And like filling the chairs is almost impossible. But if you guys can meet on your own time in different areas, when you got good ideas and you bring them together, and then call Andy and have him get with the council, see what they feel about it. I agree with Eric, but it's a small town and this is difficult to do here. I think it is necessary. I think we should have it. We had an association 10 years ago, Bayou Business Association, full of all the business people in this whole area. And Kristen over at Central Atlantic was treasurer. We had got a lot of things done, but unfortunately, council didn't work with us real well. So as businesses, we did things on our own, but we got a lot of things done. And the city did cooperate with other things, but we didn't have nothing at City Hall. This was all done over at Whiskey Joe's or at Gill Dogs or wherever we met. There was about 12 of us, and we got a lot done.
This is like a formality to get big dollars, more or less. That's how this is, but we don't even have anything that we've really accomplished. It's like, he's got stuff to do. You got stuff to do. You got stuff.
But we got good ideas, and
You know.
like I said, come up with something. You can call me anytime you want if we're not at this capacity and talking about it. You can, but you're bound by sunshine laws, which I understand the reason for it. There's a cause for that, but at the same time, for us at this capacity, it's hard to get stuff done. Only time you have something 3 months ago is a great idea. Now is the only time I can present it to you guys.
Right. I like the businesses coming together because I know if you bring, like 15, 20, 30 business guys in the marine industry together, meetings, I mean, something will get done. Something will happen.
We got the funding for the dredging, but then the
Right.
city wouldn't spend it. And they lost
maybe we can get Nick's
Well, they spent it
going.
on the wrong thing and then lost the rest of it. Yeah. So, I mean, that was and none of these guys that own these businesses lived in the city, except me. I did.
Wow.
My business wasn't in the city. It was in Newport Richey, which is odd, but that's how we got things done. We met when we set up meetings. It was like the second
Can we
Tuesday of
revive
every
that?
month.
Well, it was funded by the businesses. I mean, the businesses were their own entity because of the lack of ability to get traction with the city. It was kind of a necessary at the time because there wasn't a cooperative piece going on. So it served its purpose, I think, at the time, and certainly it could continue to go on. I think how we structure it now is a question because I know from at least my standpoint, I didn't envision an inability to work on things. And by virtue of the structure, what I had agreed to initially was that I'll try it and see how it goes and see if we can get things done. I don't think it's had the traction that I had hoped for originally. I thought we would be able to do more. I think as a committee, I am encouraged because a number of the things that we talked about from the initial concept back in 2020, the city has actually gone ahead and done. So as far as doing some of the planning and retaining contractors to get work done on resiliency, those things did occur even without the committee. So I think that's the plus. I guess a question I have from a CRA perspective with resiliency, do we feel like we're making progress there? Are we missing something that maybe we should have more synergy on? Are there more tangible things that a larger committee could be doing? And I know I've had conversations about the structure of the committee to relieve Ashley of things and allow us to move forward with some reasonableness in support of the city and the city manager without the overhead, I would say. And but that was probably about 4 months ago, and I don't think there's been any action on that to date, unless I'm not aware. So we've been kind of I feel like we've been kind of in this limbo. We'll continue to try to push it, but so I wanted to use this as an opportunity to say, hey guys and gals, what do we really want to do? So I'm kind of, I don't know, from a CRA perspective, if there's things that we feel like there could be more synergy or better things could happen for the city if we had a larger critical mass. So maybe if we had CRA driving things and then volunteers that came in and stepped up to work on things, maybe that's a viable alternative. So I'm open to anything, so please.
So the finance director made adjustments going forward to where I can work out of the CRA. So right now I was originally 100% in the CRA, which kept me having to do CRA things. But we're fixing that, so I can do resiliency citywide. And I have been. There's some things coming up. Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council meetings and some other projects coming up. But with that fixed, I'll be able to do much more for the whole city.
So are there synergies there? And I'm looking at Andy on this. Are there synergies there that we should be looking at maybe now because we weren't on board the CRA previously? This is a relatively recent phenomenon. So, and this concept has been around since 2020, and whether it's still viable today, I beg the question to council members that are here and the city manager, what do we think about what's going to be most effective for the city and more importantly, the residents?
So,
No pressure.
no, thanks for the opportunity to listen in and speak. As I was talking to Councilman Hubbard before, if you guys find it easier to get things done by meeting at a restaurant or house or on the phone and having a regular meeting with me as a citizen action committee or more ad hoc than an official one, my door's open. We've talked at length before. I think we're trying to bake in the mindset of everything we do, everything we buy, everything we build, of resiliency. I was on Sunset today. Just we were checking out the blue sky. How the water is today, or after raining all weekend, and we were brainstorming on if they're not using these boat ramps, do we tell the citizens we're closing private boat ramps? I asked, is there an alley in the back? Maybe we could make this a bike path and help them turn their driveways off to come in from the back instead of the front, and have a water wall on the south side of the road, so their properties might stay dry and maybe the road gets wet. We're open to anything. The Tiger dams, the I don't know the name of the system at TGH, but the wall that they use, whatever works. So CRA, if that's part of the CRA, I think it's a valid way to spend money on experimenting things. I haven't been able to look into it, but Matt called me and told me that the One Big Beautiful Bill at the federal level was re-energizing opportunity zones, something that had come about maybe a decade ago and fallen by the wayside. So I want to sink my teeth into that and see if that's a tie-in. I would suggest living shorelines along there, but that might restrict people from getting their boats in and out. So it might be a non-starter, but I think we're open to whatever's best so that we don't lose that neighborhood. It's a historic neighborhood. It's beautiful. You can see why people will deal with the challenges to live there, take the challenges for the 360 great days, or maybe last year 350 maybe, and take the tough weeks. But open to anything, and I'm happy to keep working, attending the meetings of this official board, or if you do decide to dissolve, I think the mayor will keep me honest on doing an ad hoc meeting whenever you guys have something you want to present. I can help present forward.
Yeah, I think to answer your question is it's really what you all think you need to be effective. If being effective is having this official board, we keep doing this. If you think we disband the board and the city manager creates an ad hoc committee, fact finding only, that you guys can have the latitude to meet amongst yourselves and get back with him on recommendations that he brings to council. I think it works fine too. Again, as long as we have some group of folks looking into these things for us and making recommendations and ideas that we can actually act on, I think will serve the purpose.
Well, I guess one of the things that I wonder about, if there was a cooperative entity where we have this thing that we want to take a look at, whatever it happens to be, Tiger dams, all right? So if there are a group of people that I could have beginning to look at Tiger dams, and then I came together on that subject, okay, with whoever it was at the city, then maybe that adds some value because I have some other eyes looking at this topic rather than leaving the topic undefined. Because one of my concerns, having done this in the past, it's very difficult getting the community engaged on things unless there's a very targeted focus point. And to keep it broad is hard to move forward. And I think we've seen that in spades. So wondering is if we could turn it about a little bit to say, hey, here's a topic, need some volunteers to work with us, and we want to get together in 30 days to take a look at this. Right. So come back in 30 days and have this, whatever you can find about this, good things, bad things, and let's vet it out. Is that something that adds benefit to the community? And then you take advantage of it, and then the people that have come to that meeting, they can get together offline to have further conversations about it. But we don't have the constraints except at a normal, what I'll just say, staff meeting with whomever it is, all right, to bring all of those things together. Is that something that has viability?
Let's make it informal. I mean, is that what you want to do?
That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, I think
And we can send out invitations to
Yeah.
like business leaders in
you
town
got stuff to do, man.
to meet, and they may volunteer their venue.
Yeah, we'll just do it informally.
Also,
It's
we
fine.
can go meet and get their input, and we can do possibly a different, like a business venue every month. And invite different people every month.
I'm not orienting around the routine. I'm more orienting around the ad hoc. So you have something tomorrow, I should be getting after that thing tomorrow. If I don't have something for 6 weeks, then I don't have to really get together for 6 weeks.
True. Right.
So I'm looking at, and then who's interested? Okay. You're interested, and I'm interested in this. You're interested, and you're interested in that. Okay.
And an action committee can open up, like here it's citizens. You have business people who don't live in the city, they can participate. They might want to participate as well. So that opens that up.
I think you really hit on something with hitting on the business leaders. You were talking about it, Devin, too. The Chamber of Commerce already exists. If you guys form something like the Business Resiliency Coalition or something like that, I think there's some people that are snowbirds. They're not here. They're fishing. They're disengaged. But business isn't disengaged. They want to stay in business. So I think you've really hit on something there.
That would be a good connection.
I mean, depending on, have we had any outreach with the businesses in the community regarding resiliency to date?
Nope.
I haven't. I don't know if Matt took any of those steps.
Have we done any?
I've talked to them about it, but just that it exists. That's about it.
Have we done any postmortems with the businesses as far as storm recovery? Because one of the big things, at least it's talked about in the insurance industry, is how fast businesses can recover from an event and get operational again. We haven't had any conversations on that front.
Talking to some of the local restaurateurs, they talked about how tough it was getting back on their feet and trying to keep their employees afloat until they get back in operation. So, I think there's room for conversations like that. So, how to be more prepared next time? Lessons learned from this past year.
I would imagine the only interaction probably with the building department as they got the permits to rebuild is probably
The extent.
of the formal conversations, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is an area that I think certainly be it residential or business, how quickly you can recover. But businesses, at least what I've read, has been particularly important to try to get them back operating. I don't think we had problems with food deliveries or things like that, but depending on how significant the disaster is, you could have all kinds of problems. If you had to be dealing with water or electric or fuel and all of those things to support the local community.
I think Sunshine, in my opinion, I think your committee, Sunshine holds you back a little bit because you guys want to go out as a group and hit these businesses and other entities and try to develop different sorts of resiliency for the city. So in my opinion, I think it kind of holds you back. I'm not saying that you guys can't do things here within Sunshine. There's many different avenues to transfer information back and forth. I am your main hub. So even if you guys weren't meeting on a regular cadence, you could send information. I know that's not the best thing for you guys want to be able to talk freely with each other and bounce ideas off of each other on a Thursday night at dinner. You can't do that right now. So it makes it difficult. And I think if the city wants to move forward with what you guys have already done, I think it would benefit the ad hoc way in moving forward with what you guys have already done thus far.
Well, I know from any of these conversations that I've had at the state or county level, by being part of the city, be it the Port Authority Board or the Resiliency Committee, you have some credibility because there's an entity there that you're dealing with the city
Mhm.
versus a private entity, which really carries no weight that I've seen with other governmental or quasi-governmental entities. So by having a city representative as part and parcel, I think you get a lot more runway or a lot better response. And I think that's really where this thing with Tampa Bay Water played out, is because, we're at the city of Port Richey, concerned about our water supply. We have a committee that's doing this stuff. It doesn't have to be the Resiliency Committee, it just has to be the city's concerned about this. And whether Larry Moe and Curley are supporting it doesn't make any difference as long as Larry Moe and Curley are working with the city to get that. That gets the city credibility and it gets engagement on those areas that we need support or potentially need or want support from. So I guess with all of that, my take is to maybe doing something on that order. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but I would encourage something that there's a city liaise for whatever the topic is. Maybe it has to do with stormwater, you liaise here. If it has to do with resiliency, maybe you'll liaise there. Whoever you liaise with, you just create a virtual committee around that, and there are citizens that are probably interested in supporting those particular areas. And then if we start some type of thing where we get business engagement on stuff, we have another circle there, and maybe we have Ashley involved with that or Andy involved with that because of business. Not sure, but there's some connect with the representative from the city on whatever we do to move forward would be what I would encourage. And that way, if one of us is associated with that committee, you can make a call to Governor DeSantis and say, I'm on this committee with the city of Port Richey, we're doing this, and you have some credibility when you talk with Governor DeSantis. So that way, those people that participate have a little bit of horsepower and they can feel more a contributor if that is an acceptable way to go. Something I would encourage. And then that way on the formalized committee, we probably let this either stand down, maybe keep it in place as far as an entity. If we need it, reconstitute. But for right now, we stand down.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would say that we look to maybe Andy and the mayor to kind of figure out what you would like and what would be workable. But those are suggestions that I would throw forward.
Yeah, we'll have to, whatever solution we need to run by, obviously, Nancy. I was thinking of a working group, right? But even working groups fall under sunshine law when they're. And so let me just read this. So when it applies to working groups, sunshine law applies to working groups when they act as a collegial body performing governmental functions. And so there's things around the law that have to navigate. That's why if you can talk to Nancy and figure out what the best path forward is for these guys, I know.
I think
We don't vote and make decisions here.
Well, that's always been my route, but I think when we have contractors in working at the city, we don't fall under sunshine law. Okay, and I would not treat it any different operationally than that. And the members of that, whoever working on that project, are citizens, or maybe there's a hired contractor and there's a city representative. That doesn't fall under sunshine law. Never has.
I think the key is that it's not a it's not a city group or committee that's formed. It's basically the city manager, in his own right, creates a group of individuals to help him carry out his task. I think it's right.
I think the model might be a Chamber of Commerce type thing, totally independent. But if the Chamber of Commerce wants to come talk to the city manager or the mayor, that's a very normal, accepted thing, right? So if it was Citizens for Resiliency or Ritchie Branch, I think the door would be open, and I don't think we'd be violating sunshine if you were kind of your own ad hoc group.
That, and as well as your ad hoc for 100% clarification from Nancy, I think that would be fine. But I think what you were talking about, Carl, would fall under sunshine, because you're starting to create these little subcommittees with a city representative in your meeting.
Never has been. I've done a lot of work with the cities and counties involving sizable amounts of money, and it's never fallen under sunshine law. So if I'm getting a computer system for the city, or if I'm putting in some other equipment, it doesn't fall under sunshine law. I'm doing the work. I'm accountable to a city employee, and
Right, it's a contractual
Yeah,
relationship.
that's
absolutely.
it's a
So,
little different.
and if it has to be a contractual relationship with whoever you have on board, create a contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think as long as we kind of, and maybe, I don't know if you had a conversation with Nancy, but have a conversation as a chair is what you envision how this goes forward or whatever.
Can do that.
And we structured however we need to do that to make it right.
I think the key thing was allowing entities to do work.
Right.
So that's the initial conversation with Nancy was, let's figure out an entity that can do work, and that it has the force of the city behind it, but not the baggage
But
of
the freedom to do the work.
Yeah.
yes. So with whatever resources you deem appropriate to get the work done, and I'm not sure who they may be. It could be anybody, but as long as we have that latitude, then I think it can be beneficial for the city and the community.
I like the business thing because that just
you can mix, and he could be like still be the president of this active league, and then we can mention this to the business leaders. If you want, we're having a meeting, whenever, would you like to join us? And they may want to, they may not want to, but we can bring people in to our meetings. You have a great idea, or you may have a great idea and you want to present it to us, or Daryl or myself. We can do that whenever the idea comes up.
Well, and I think that's my question on this whole meeting is, what are those ideas?
It's like we're talking about putting the berm, we're talking about doing something on Sunset Marina. Well, I'd like to invite Tim and Kristen on the marina over there and see what their thought is. They can come in here and talk right now, but they can't because they're busy. But 7:00 tonight or something, maybe they could. We could have a meeting then about this is what we're planning to do, and see what do you guys think. And so, and it's not just, it's any business depending on what we're talking about. And in the restoration of Durney Key, there's a lot of talk about that going on right now too. I'd like to get people's input on that.
But I really think that, the main reason why Matt sort of, pushed this committee, and he was sort of the big push to make this happen. And again, he's gone. If we're not leveraging this as one of the pieces of the puzzle to get a big dollar, grant or something like that, that's why this was put together. And if we don't really have anything tangible that we're working on right now where we can leverage this as something to say, hey, we have this resiliency committee, we're committed, we have somebody to shepherd this money and this idea, and we're not like a rinky-dink city, and because look, we have a committee. That's what this was about. But if we really don't have anything in the pipeline or any ideas moving forward, then we should dissolve it. But that's really what this was put forth in the first place anyways, at least the way I see it, right? I mean, am I wrong on that?
Well, not exactly. I mean, the structure of how it was finally structured is different than what was envisioned to satisfy the requirements of the city.
Right.
So the sunshine law component was not envisioned because we already had that piece. But basically, I concurred to go along with that to see how it would work out. So walk the path here, and certainly I personally don't feel like we've accomplished as much as I really hoped for. So at this juncture.
I would concur with that.
So, and I really attribute it to the inability to really vet out what those ideas are and then take them to fruition. Because coming back to your point, I'm not comfortable with that approach. Having dealt with the public, I believe you have to have, as a governmental entity, we have to have some concept of what it needs to be. To shop it with the masses is, we'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, you have, Dr. You have to get together as a group, but you can present it to different people, but you can't get anything done in a meeting.
We saw that when we were trying to do the stuff in the waterfront overlay, where they were not prepared to address things. And when you're dealing with the public, that's the worst thing you can do. And then we're going to have potential, we could have potential impacts on the community. I think we have to be really careful on whatever those concepts are that we're bringing out, that they're fairly well vetted before you start looking for community input, or else we won't get anywhere, in my opinion. So,
What do we want to do?
well, what I would encourage is let's either stand the committee down for now, maybe not shelve it completely, but just stand
We
down,
can make it inactive.
make it inactive,
There you go.
or whatever you need to do. We could just not call another meeting. If inactive is just suspended for this period of time, make it easy, whatever. That way you can reconstitute it at, whatever time. But then the solution to me is what we have to figure out. And I've expressed my perspective on it. There may be others, but I think there's still people in the community that are interested in doing things, but if they're interested in doing things. And we've not been able to do things to date.
So let's shelf it. And then we'll meet. We'll
Yeah, the
go
only, the,
get
only,
a beer and we'll go talk about what's going on.
the only thing with making it inactive, depending on what we do. So if we make this committee inactive and then you guys all of a sudden are working in an ad hoc working group, that it might be smoke and mirrors, right? So we might actually have to disband it. But again,
Whatever,
whatever Nancy
Yeah.
recommends. But
Dissolve it. And then we'll-
Right.
But I like the idea of leaving it there in case we want to pick up some point with that in a more formal context.
to Devin's point, maybe at some point there is a need that I need to have a legal committee that is a 405C3 to get funding because I need to have that. Great, you've got it. You don't have to reconstitute it. I don't know, but if that happens to come along.
So I will bring this up too. The folks did create that Pasco Coastal Improvement Council. I don't know if you've been keeping up with that or whatever, but we could look at creating something like that, not from the city obviously, but if the group or whatever creates some 501c3 and call it the Port Richey Coastal Improvement Council, and you guys kind of operate similar structure or whatever. But so that's an option.
I want to be able to call you again. Right. I miss calling you.
Okay, so after that discussion, do I have a motion on what we've been discussing from the committee?
Well, I can make a motion to make the coastal committee inactive at this time. Till
Does that satisfy us? Is that good enough?
I'm looking to Ashley as the keep me honest.
I would have the motion in the minutes, and then we will reach out to Nancy to get 100% clarification to make sure. I think it's just a council action.
Yeah, the council make the action,
Yeah.
whatever we need to be. So in your motion, I would just motion to explore other opportunities for the committee going forward.
I'll just do it right here.
Can you do?
I'll make a motion that we'll look for other avenues of having a committee at a
And
later date,
suspend them
and make this committee inactive at this time.
Well, I'd be cautious to make any solutions. Just just make a motion that you want to consider alternative structures for the committee, and have the city go forward with Nancy, the attorney, to explore that and then bring recommendations to council. I mean, you don't have to say it in all those words, but just don't try to get to a solution because we don't know what solution is going to be.
Well, yeah,
Well,
Explore other opportunities for the committee at the direction of the city attorney.
Perfect.
okay, so,
If you say so moved, I
So
think it's
moved.
right.
yeah, we'll just, make a movement on what Ashley said.
I second that.
But yeah,
There you go.
Yeah.
Aye.
I think just so, because Ashley's direction now is this meeting stands every month. And
Correct.
to forgo that administrivia or stuff, just wanted to,
We'll
That'll
see
give
what
staff
options
direction
Nancy
to move
has is
forward with the
really
city
important.
attorney.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, that motion will give staff direction to move forward with the city attorney and then ultimately bring it to council for action.
Excellent.
Yeah, and
Can't even get this
for
done.
your monthly meetings, we'll act on this quickly.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if we get within a month or whatever, we can cancel the next meeting, whatever you do, and then
I'll keep you all apprised.
All right, that's fine. I just,
And I mean, I'll talk to some business leaders just to see kind of how they feel about maybe doing something themselves or
And-
participating sometimes.
yeah, I think any of us here that are aware of people that are interested in particular things, they may be interested in one thing but not another. If we can develop a cadre of people that we could bring to the table, be it business owners or whomever, that would be, I think, inherently helpful for the city.
Well,
I
and
think
of
they'd
course,
like
in-
to.
In the meantime, if you guys are so inclined to be, because I think you guys are all super excited at this point, if you guys want to share information in the meantime until council gives final direction, if you want to share things, just send it to me and I will send it to everybody.
yeah, you're still an active committee until
Yeah.
No,
So
keep
I
in mind,
still
you-
apply
right?
for everybody.
Except to watch Daryl, that's
I
all.
know.
So, all right, do I have a motion to adjourn if there's no other?
Wait, so there was a motion and a second for that. So
Oh,
you
all in
guys
favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
So you're next.
We're good. Any other topics? Anyone? Cool. All right. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jen.